know, racing is such a mental game. You think about the weight that's on the driver's shoulders to absolutely get it right. When I first started racing at the top level of IndyCar, I felt like the weight of the world was on me. A race car driver is a limit seeker. They're trying to find the limit of performance in all areas, or finding the limit of innovation. How do we push the barriers of the rules without breaking them and getting disqualified? That's our job, is to push those limits and tell the people around us where those limits are. IndyCar, there's less margin for error because the competition is so much tighter. It felt like if I messed that up at any moment, any little mistake that I made, oh, you're done, you're gone.
Newgarden with a 114.8, he's in the top 6 again. We've got problems. Josef Newgarden has missed turn 11, and he has hammered the outside wall.
When I was younger, I always loved anything that involved a car, an engine, motorsports, people racing. Growing up in Hendersonville, Tennessee, there was not a lot of outlets to go racing or to explore that interest. So really, for me, it was just watching it on TV and being fascinated by it and wanting to somehow be involved in that. It was NASCAR, it was Formula One, it was sports cars, and it was obviously IndyCar too. My name is Josef Newgarden. I'm a race car driver. I drive for Team Penske. It's my 10th year in the INDYCAR Series, and I'm having a blast. Competition is my life.
Friends, family, and Team Penske President Tim Cindric recalled the strategy for this race.
There's a lot of drivers you talk to, and they say, hey, I grew up wanting to be a Team Penske driver. This is the pinnacle of where I wanted to be. Josef, when I sat down with him, he said, look, I didn't grow up wanting to drive in any particular team. His dream was to be a Formula One driver. And for him, it wasn't about driving for this organization or that organization. It was about driving for the best. And at that point, we have a discussion about how we're going to become the best. And the cool thing was, the first year with our team, he won the championship.
I was kind of on that path or trajectory to try and go to Formula One. But my direct experience is in IndyCar. There's less margin for error, I would say, because the competition is so much tighter. The parity amongst the teams, the mechanics, the engineers is greater than you'll have in any other form of motorsports.
Compared to my background, which is Formula One, where the car kind of dictates 90% of competitiveness. IndyCar, it's so much about getting the car set up and working so your driver is confident to drive it.
I definitely became more well-rounded as a driver when I got to IndyCar. There was rough edges for sure. I didn't understand well enough yet how to really get the most out of, an entire team. I think the strength of Team Penske is the low-hanging fruit. It's the simple things. It's getting the basic things right. Do we have enough fuel in the car? Seems like a simple question, But the things that you think are simple, people miss that stuff every now and then.
How you deal with the small things relative to the big things, all the small things and the details, they all add up. We call it stacking pennies sometimes. And that's what instills the confidence in the driver. And when the driver has the confidence, it's worth lap time.
All right, one more. Ready? Now that we're getting into the race weekend here in Nashville, I feel pretty easy going. Having the accessibility to the track, not having to worry about traveling somewhere, it actually, I think in some ways de-stresses me more than I've, been accustomed to in my career. Get the Frisbee. Jump. Good boy. When I was younger, I used to block everything else out. It was whatever I need to focus on racing-wise is the only thing in my life that's important, and everything else is gonna suffer around me. So, that makes it a little bit harsh for people in my family, whether it was, Ashley, my wife, when she was my girlfriend at the time, things like that. Anything outside of racing would suffer because racing had to take the priority. And I've tried to learn how to balance everything else that's going on in my life. If you blink and you're 40, up the road and you had all the racing success that you could have ever dreamed, but you let, everything else fall to the wayside, well then, what's left? Street course racing to me is the most fun you'll have. I think Nashville really is the perfect city for IndyCar racing. And there's gonna be some pressure that I've never experienced before. I've never had a hometown crowd, never had people say, hey, we know you're from Nashville, we hope you win the race. Inevitably, we're gonna have some things that we just can't forecast that we'll fix for hopefully year 2. But the goal of this event is to have it for a long time, and to rival the events like Long Beach or, St. Petersburg or a place like Toronto, which have been very, very successful IndyCar street circuits.
This is way tighter than I told him.
Now you sorted it out for us? Yeah, way better, thanks.
I told him to go way this way with it. That's not nearly as wide as I said.
Looks great, man.
Like that grandstand could have been way back.
Great job.
All right. I told him what to do. Like, look at, it's not that wide here, up to the line.
We told him to paint the line, to hit the exit line, curve it.
Yeah, 100%.
We said, hey, we should probably curve this. And we said, whatever you do, don't paint it straight.
We need to give that to Novak and the team, though, immediately. This is also, I swear we were going to open this up even more. This is silly tight. Guys, this is way too tight for pit out.
You quickly learn as a professional racing driver that driving the race car is actually the easy part. That's the most fun you're gonna have across the race weekend, and it's the easiest thing you're gonna do. It's our first year. There's gonna be some, there's gonna be small hiccups. It's inevitable, right? We're gonna have to work through a couple things, but I think we've tried to think of everything beforehand to make this as smooth as possible for the first year. None of us really have a great idea of how this track is gonna drive. We've driven it on simulations, but it's a busy week. There's more on the plate than probably I'd like, but it all comes with the territory of being in the hometown.
I think the bridge is probably going to just become another straightaway. For this year, I think it will probably be the fastest straightaway. I'm definitely getting more anxious. Knocking down the clock to race day. I think we're good, right? Yeah. Hey, do you got a Sharpie? It's going to be a minute.
We know you're the busiest man in Nashville right now, so thank you. Later.
Get done so you can get over there. Where's the backpack? Oh, you got it? Thanks, guys.
At the end of the day, the reason we're doing this is to raise money for Serious Fun Children's Network. We raised $136,000, which is incredible. Thank you for coming. Seriously, you made a huge difference.
Appreciate you, man.
Should we get a quick picture?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think it's official. It says on every ticket, Josef Newgarden hosts, because it is his hometown. He did help design the racetrack. That is the joke in the paddock. If it's really good, you're the guy to thank. If it's really bad, you're the guy to blame. What's your take on that?
Hopefully it's really good.
Turn 4, got a car in the runoff. We have red flag for turn 4.
Dixon now into the wall. Two of the most experienced guys in IndyCar racing, multiple championships. There you go. There you go. A little lockup there from Sebastian Bourdais, and he has to go to the runoff.
It's like a zoo out there. There's a whole bunch of exhibits in turn 9, turn 4.
Across the race weekend, it's really 2 races. It starts with qualifying. That's the first race. You want to qualify up front. It always gives you the best opportunity to succeed across the weekend if you can be up front.
Well, qualifying, it's important everywhere you go, but it's even more important at a place like this where you haven't been there, but all the drivers haven't been there either, which typically means that there's much more opportunity for mistakes.
Red flags out.
You expect to see more mistakes happen during qualifying and during the race. So that track position, not only for passing, but just to stay out of a mess, is really important. And I think in qualifying, especially at a street track, the opportunity for a blocked track or a red flag or a car in the runoff is much higher.
As a race engineer, you're kind of always juggling both the sort of engineering side and the human performance side, especially at a track like this, which is going to involve a lot of confidence. You know, how fast you go here is really how big you make the track, and how big you make the track is how close to the barriers you go. So it's got a lot to do with confidence.
Qualifying is all about nailing the 1 lap. You know, it's going to take 2 laps to get the most out of the tires for that session. So you have your warm-up lap on lap 1, and then you know lap 2 is going to be the money lap, and you have to absolutely nail it. You know, let's say on that money lap, it's going really good all the way halfway up, but then you make a mistake in the middle, and then you're getting information from, you know, your strategist saying you need another 10th or a 10th and a half, and you know the corner that you're coming up to could give you that 10th. Well, you may risk a little bit more in that next corner to get that final 10th, and then try and hold on to it for the finish of the lap. The engineers, the mechanics, everyone building that car, they look forward to qualifying and seeing, you know, how fast can we really go. You want to have that victory for them. You want them to feel good about, you know, what we just did going into the race. It's really about being flexible in the moment. You know, you've got to be able to lay the car out and fully on the line, but you got to get it all right. Qualifying demands that. It has to be a perfect lap.
No issues for Josef Newgarden. He's on the softer red compound tires. Will Power, his teammate, just behind him.
And Josef Newgarden is starting to set up for the left-hander. The Hitachi machine should be popping into the view of Nick Yeoman.
Yep, he will get hard on the brakes for the left-hander of turn at number 11. That jerks that steering wheel a little bit. Josef Newgarden looking for his 4th straight IndyCar pole. Last guy to do that, Mark, is about 12 to 15 car lengths behind him. That's Will Power.
It's all about making it to the Fast 6. And then when you make it to the Fast 6, you know you're locked into that top 6 group. It's a good start for Sunday. Now we can really go for it.
Roman Grosjean right to the top of the board.
There he goes, below to the top.
Local boy with a 1:15, but then he gets bumped by Colton Herta, who goes number 1.
Newgarden is on the outside looking in right now. We're down to 90 seconds remaining.
Here we go, let's see. Less than a minute to go. Keep an eye on the clocks and the big screen. Watching Josef Newgarden. Newgarden with a 1:14.8. He's in the top 6 again.
We've got problems. Josef Newgarden has missed turn 11, and he has hammered the outside wall.
Big crash by Josef Newgarden. He was on a big lap, and I don't know why he's trying to drive.
He doesn't want to cause a red. He does not want to lose the lap and get bumped out of the Firestone Fast 6, so he finds a
so that
runoff
he doesn't
area.
cause a red flag and lose his best lap. I don't know that he's going to be successful.
But even when the world goes the wrong way, he's not the guy that's going to make the comments on the radio to where the crew members or the people that are listening have to decide, hey, should I side with Josef on this, or his pit crew, or the strategist, or whoever else? He very much takes a team focus with it, and when things don't go right, you don't hear about it. You know what he knows, but there's nothing said.
race is a much bigger equation. If you have a 2-hour period where that race is going to take place, all of it has to go right. It's not just one lap. You got to have all of it go right. And there could be one moment to destroy the entire race.
Josef was someone that you could talk to and you could really understand that he knew where his weaknesses are. He knew where his strengths were, and he knows how to play to those. And really my job as a strategist in his pit is to try and help him understand when it's time to push and when it's time to not push. Because he's, by nature, he's a very aggressive driver. He doesn't want to save fuel. He doesn't want to save tires. He wants to attack.
And here we go! The Music City Grand Prix is green!
And the grandstands come alive as Colton Herta leads the field into Turn Number 9. Alexander Rossi managed to get in front of Scott Dixon. He's trailed by Felix Rosenquist. Everybody now works their way to Turn Number 9.
Yeah, stay left. Stay left. There's no way around here. There's no way around. Track is blocked.
We've got a full course caution. Check that. We've got a full-blown red flag.
So, Paul, you've driven for Roger Penske. What's rule number 1 at Team Penske? Don't take each other out.
Yeah.
Front. Okay, go. All clear. Get to the blend. Reach the blend.
Everything in the race is a mutual trust. I mean, they've got to have faith in me that I'm going to drive the car, exactly how I need to drive it across that race. And I've got to have, trust in my team that they're seeing things that, I can't see. I don't have the perspective that they have. I have the perspective of being in the car, knowing what's around me, knowing what I'm feeling. I'm relaying that back to the team. And then you've got the team seeing everything. They understand, where the whole field is at versus what's right in front of me in the moment. So that mutual trust that we're going to take the information from what they see and what I'm feeling, and we're going to blend them together, and we're going to continue to trust each other. That's a chemistry that's hard to form. Having enough confidence in the group as a whole that we're going to make anything happen. Whatever this day throws at us, we'll make the most of it.
When it's on him, he'll be the first one to tell you, hey, that was my fault. But he's also the guy that understands that there's not a reason to, put anything in between himself and the team. We win and lose together.
You know, I'm 30 years old. You know, we've won a couple championships, but at the same time, you know, for me, it's not nearly enough. You know, I look at statistics and I see, you know, what have the greats done in the sport? Okay, well, if I see those numbers, how do I do better than that? You know, how do I win the most championships ever? How do I win an Indy 500? And if you win one Indy 500, well, how are you going to win 4, maybe even 5? I think if you're not chasing those goals, I don't know why you're doing it. You know, for me, it's you're either the best of the best at it, or why did you even do it? And that's kind of an aggressive way to look at it, but it's the only way my brain works.